A year and 10 days on from Yanfei Bao's disappearance, remains have been found in the search for her.
It's the news Yanfei Bao's family have been desperately hoping for, but were still devastated to receive. The remains were found in a shallow grave on private farmland near Lincoln, an area police had searched several times before. But they returned again this morning after receiving new information 6 to 8 weeks ago. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy has more.
On a rainy Tuesday morning in Christchurch, police teams descended on a private farm in Green Park. 1.5 hours later, under these macrocarpa trees, they found what they had spent thousands of hours looking for.
A shallow grave was discovered along a tree line.
A forensic post-mortem on the remains will happen tomorrow, but police are confident.
I am comfortable that we were searching for Yanfei and that we have found her.
They have searched this area for over a year, but this search was acting on new information that came in 6 to 8 weeks ago.
New information has led us back here to search specific locations. At this time, we're unable to share what that new information is.
Police had told Yanfei's New Zealand-based and China-based families ahead of their search this morning.
They knew that we were very hopeful. We've given them that news this morning. They are in shock. They're upset. I think it's probably something that will take a little bit of time to settle in.
The owner of the farm told 3 News he was feeling emotional at the discovery, feeling both relieved and sad. Police hadn't told him what led them back to his property.
We've been there several times. The family that are on that farm have been incredibly generous in allowing us access onto their property.
Bao disappeared on July 19 last year after showing a client through this Hornby property. Her last known movement was calling a friend, asking how a Chinese buyer, who lived in Christchurch, could transfer money from China to buy a house. Shortly after, Tingjing Shao was charged with her murder and will face trial in October this year. Just weeks ago, police told 3 News they were committed to finding Bao's body and bringing her home to her family. Detective Inspector Reeves said she thought about it every single day.
Does finding her, even though she is dead, bring you a level of comfort?
Yes, it does bring a level of comfort. It is also a weight off shoulders. You know, it's not just me, it is the investigation team. We've all felt this really heavily, that, you know, this is a piece that we haven't been able to finalise. So it is a really proud day. It's the sort of, you know, this is why we come to work.
Now they have further evidence to take to trial in October and remains for Yanfei Bao's family to later rest.
Juliet joins us now. And Juliet, are police still out at the scene?
They are, Lloyd. Nicola Reeves says they'll be there for a while doing a scene examination. What they do now they've found these remains is they freeze and control that scene, remove the remains and then do a deeper, wider search. And there are still a number of items that police have been looking for, like Yanfei Bao's handbag and a large spade. So they will be hopeful of finding other smaller evidence out there too. But look, given there was already a murder trial scheduled in this case for October, this is one big piece of the puzzle that they didn't have and now do. So once this scene is clear, Reeves and her team will continue working and preparing for that trial, when they and Yanfei Bao's family will be hopeful that the entire puzzle will then come together.
Thank you, Juliet. That's Juliet Speedy live in Christchurch.
3 News has been leaked what we're told is a recording of Gloria Vale leader Howard Temple allegedly admitting to the community that the Bill of Rights had been breached, that people had been forced to work and that Gloria Vale needed to change its way of operating. It was recorded in 2022, shortly after some men who had left the community had a victory in the employment court, which ruled they were employees, not volunteers. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy has this exclusive report.
A muffled recording taken secretly by a Gloria Vale member.
And they're looking at us. It's okay, but we need to get our act together, or this thing's going to be demolished.
The Employment Court ruled on 10th of May 2022 that 3 male ex-members of Gloria Vale were deemed to be employees from 6 years of age until they left. 3 News has been told this recording is of Howard Temple, 6 days after the judgment was released.
So the Bill of Rights we're not complying with that Bill of Rights. Human rights, I'm trying to make human rights. We're not complying with those human rights.
He asked the community to consider carefully its past practices.
I ask everybody to sit back now and listen and take note and think. Forced labor. We have been using forced labor. We have been forcing people to work. We have been forcing people to do things that they do not want to do.
Hosea Courage was one of the plaintiffs in the employment court case.
He's just admitted to slave labour here.
And heard the recording for the first time when 3 News played it to him.
It's very interesting to see them admit they've done wrong because they do believe they cannot do wrong. So for them to admit it and apologise for it is, that takes me aback a bit.
But he doesn't believe things will have changed much. It's this comment, allegedly from Temple, that raises his attention.
Parents can have some authority over the borders. I have a full authority over your borders. You parents have authority over your borders. You can say yes or no.
This is also him telling the parents there, that they are to get their children and use them as slave labour. They're still going to use children as slave labour. They're just going to put a different hat on it.
Hosea Courage worked unpaid at Gloriavale from age 6 to 16, says he wasn't properly fed or clothed and was physically punished, leaving bruises.
Making money is not the main aim here. But there's been an aim in the past of using our borders. Labor units is a job.
He has not changed at all, really. He's said they'll comply with the Bill of Rights, but in a way that still suits them and in a way that they will be able to continue doing what they've always been doing.
We'd heard there had been some discussions in the community, but to know there's a tape and to see a transcript of what was actually said is actually amazing.
The Employment Court has heard the bare facts of Gloriavale's forced labour in 2 separate court cases. Both times Gloriavale's taken the stand. Both times they've lost the case.
This is the first time outside that hearing where we've had this degree of candour.
Brian Henry continues to fight against what he says is the ongoing damaging behaviour at Gloriavale.
It just tells us it's time that the nonsense stopped and this just got sorted out. These kids have been through enough, and the fact that we've got 3-4 more years of litigation, that's a reality. We're not going away.
Despite the employment court judgments, Gloriavale still doesn't pay anyone as an employee.
I don't know. There is a God in heaven. I would believe that God in heaven will see us through it, but I cannot guarantee that.
A year after this recording, Gloriavale were back in court, which again they lost.
Te Pāti Māori co-leader Debbie Ngarewa-Packer has joined a protest in Rarotonga calling on Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown to stand down. It comes after Brown signed a contentious strategic partnership with China over the weekend, the details of which were only released late this afternoon. But Foreign Minister Winston Peters says there are more agreements still to be made public and he wants them out now. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy has the latest.
Debbie Ngarewa-Packer among the hundreds at the Cook Islands protest against the country's Prime Minister Mark Brown and his growing relationship with China.
So now face how much sincerely we want to keep our relationship and of course our passports to New Zealand.
The Te Pāti Māori co-leader had just arrived in the country to celebrate 30 years of marriage with her husband.
We arrived at the airport and I wasn't aware of what had gone on with the passport and the delegation to China. And so there was this assumption that I had arrived for that.
The protest, organised by the leader of the country's United Party, was in response to the Cook Islands Prime Minister's trip to China, where he has signed a controversial partnership agreement, upsetting the New Zealand government.
I'm asking for you, as Prime Minister of this country, step down and give the opportunity. I put them on notice today. One, he has to resign as Prime Minister of this country. So I asked him that, or otherwise, before that, I asked him to actually apologise on behalf of the people of the Cook Islands, to the people of the Cook Islands, more so to the people of the government of New Zealand.
it's not like home. Like it's not. They're not a group of people who largely are active in protesting. So when they do get to that point, it's a point of real extremes.
The Prime Minister here hadn't seen or heard what was in the agreement with China before it was released late this afternoon.
We expect to see it shortly. We'll take our time to digest it, and then we'll obviously have conversations with the cooks themselves.
The Cook Islands government says the 5-year action plan negotiated between the two governments sets out a structured framework for future engagement in some areas of priority, including trade and investment, tourism, ocean science, aquaculture, agriculture, infrastructure and education. They say with the signing of the action plan, agencies of both governments can progress discussions on a sectoral basis to build on existing and future bilateral projects and initiatives.
Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters issued a statement after the agreement was released saying they note only one agreement has been released, but both the Cook Islands and Chinese governments have said that multiple agreements were signed and the government here wants them all released without delay. He said consultation and transparency must lie at the heart of the Cook Islands-New Zealand relationship.
We do not want to see our land and our oceans sold to the highest bidder.
Does this mean there's going to be more exploitation of really stretched resources? So there's, just real grassroots concerns and a lack of trust now, which, I'm over here often and I've never seen it this low before.
We're seriously concerned about our relationship with New Zealand. We want to keep our relationship with New Zealand, our citizenship, and also we want to stay connected with New Zealand. We want to keep our New Zealand passport. We've lived sort of like for the last 60 years, and we want to live again for another, the relationship for another 60 years.
Mark Brown did not front up to the protest today, but this is an issue that's not going away for him or his government.